Hi, I'm odeean. Today I'm going to be reviewing Max Factory's Figma number 183, Lady Armaroid from Cobra the Space Pirate. Here we've got Lady, and she's a really nicely done figure. The sculpt is really good, and I'm quite enjoying having it. I probably wouldn't have picked it up purely on its own merits, just because I don't find the character interesting enough to spend that kind of money on. But if you remember a couple of months ago, I did a review of this bad boy, Space Pirate Cobra. When you have it as a companion piece to Cobra, it becomes essential, really. I mean, when you've got the chance to have this duo, why not go ahead and take it? I've seen some photos of the upcoming Crystal Boy, and I highly anticipate having Crystal Boy to verse these two. Obviously, being a Figma, the articulation is through the roof. I don't feel like I need to point out every bit and piece here. One little detail that I might show a little bit of is, if you see the shoulders, they sit very flush to the body, but if you want to go ahead and extend them up, the ball stretches out of the underarm area to give you that little bit extra range. So it doesn't look like it can do that, but clearly you can see that it does. So that's something I didn't know about Figma. Maybe that's par for the course with Figma, but it's kind of it's something that I didn't know before I got this actual toy. The groin area is sculpted so tightly that it looks like it might not be able to move, but it is a much softer plastic there. So you can see the harder you push it, the more it stretches upwards. So it gives you much better range than a rigid plastic would be able to give. Also, the knee is pretty nice, much more attractive than that terrible Army attractive figure that I was reviewing a couple of weeks ago. I don't mind having a ball at the back of the knee, if I can just focus on it. I don't mind that little ball that sits there in the gap at the back of the knee, so long as from the front angles it looks good in most positions. That's all I'm really looking for, and it does, so pretty pleased with that. One little bit of weirdness is the way that the breasts are moulded on, so it must have been impossible for them to get the shape that they wanted by doing a single torso piece. What they've done is these two boob bits here are a separate piece which seems to be glued in place. I do have a very slight concern that over time it might separate, especially if you store this in a hot environment. I don't store it in anywhere that's too hot, so I don't think I'm going to have a problem, but that might be something to watch out for. In the back of the figure we have a very conveniently located peg hole for our Figma stand, so this can just peg right into here. I'm happy with the high positioning with this on the figure because it lets you get more use out of the stand. I feel like you don't have to bend that little angle as much for it to hold the figure up. If you take a look at her companion, Cobra's peg hole is in the lower part of his back, and the stand has to bend into a kind of unnatural position which isn't really capable of taking too much weight, so I find his stand has less utility because of the lowness of the peg hole. Look at them together, that's quite nice. She's really sexy, look at that. Why on earth you need a robot to be sexy, I don't know, but I would like to have one. Just like other Figmas, there's an assortment of hands. So you can see here are all the other hands that I haven't put on her. She came with two closed fists in the box. I don't like the closed fists, so I've just pulled them off. And you can see that I've forced Cobra's pistol into her gun holding hand. Now her hand is much too small to properly hold that. I've stretched it out quite a bit to hold the pistol, and her finger doesn't even come anywhere near where the trigger is. But if you have to use it, she can definitely hold that. You can see the two fists, should I say hands, on the top there are for her sort of ground hugging pose, which I'm going to show you now. If you try and match the box art, that's the closest you can get with the standard parts like the posable legs, but what we get is this whole extra section. So if you want to get that really sexy looking crouched on the ground about to pounce pose, you can pull off the whole lower part of her body and replace it with this solid piece which is specifically designed for that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Losing legs already. I must have been extending it too far. So you can see there that on the inside of her normal body there's just a ball joint, and it kind of stresses the toy out trying to hit that pose. So I've just lost the leg temporarily. I mean, it can pop right back on like that, but we don't need to do that. We can just... I had to cut away for a minute there because this peg is meant to come out like this with the ball still attached to this part and the peg coming out of this hole in the torso or the chest, and it came out the other way with me, and I had to grab a hold of it with my teeth basically to pull it out. I didn't have anything else strong enough to get it out with. But anyway, once you've got that separated, you can go and put the lower part of the body aside, grab this custom molded piece and just slot it in like that. Then it can really easily hit that sexy crouching pose that's printed on the box. Let's see. That's really nice. It looks pretty fantastic. So it gives you a kind of hybrid between a statue and an action figure. I like that you've got the choice to do it whichever way you like. Also in the box we get some effect parts for the Cobra figure. This is Cobra with his Psycho gun. The Psycho gun has a tiny little hole in the end of it, and this effect part, this curving Psycho blast, is so pointy it can actually fit into the end of the barrel like that. It doesn't tab in or anything, but it just adds realism that it's coming out of the gun. And it's on this kind of Perspex rod here, I think that's what it is, or some kind of plastic, but that's on a ball joint, pretty stiff ball joint, so we've got a wide range of flexibility for our poses. Now this is the curved Psycho Blast. I'm going to pull that off. I don't know if that's what they call it, a Psycho Blast, but that's just my guess. Popping this one on, we've got a straight blast. So let's pop the straight blast in there. Very nice. Cobra is strong enough to be able to hold the weight of that, so I just wonder if I can get rid of that and get it to stay by sticking it in here. No, there's not enough depth to the hole. It's a real pity because it would be better for display if he could just hold it like that, but I guess the point of this isn't necessarily to have it up flush with the end of the gun. Probably they meant for it to be some distance apart. Actually, I spoke too soon, so I guess I should get all the pieces out before I make a video. That would be an idea, wouldn't it? This is supposed to be the bit that comes on the barrel of the gun, so that's his sort of blast, and then however far away you want to pose it, then you can have the bolt coming out like that. So you do have the option to do that. That's pretty cool. And that doesn't go in the end of the barrel, it goes around it. So I've just discovered that now. Awesome. On the left here you can see the standard face that comes with the Cobra figure. On the right there's a winking face that has come with Lady Armaroid, and it's pretty nice too. I like the sculpt. It looks virtually the same except for the open and closed eyes. I think I would have been a bit happier if there had been an option to have no cigar, because when you pull out the cigars it still looks a little bit off, and I don't always want to have him posed with the cigar, so I think better than a wink would have just been a plain face with no cigar, or maybe even two faces, one each way. That would have made me more happy, but still it's a nice sculpted face, and I'm guessing one day we're going to get one of the other ladies, so having a winking face might be useful. Just like with this original face that had two eyeball moving mechanisms, we also have the same mechanism on the back of his eye, and this is the little tool that does it. So if we want to change the position of his eye, we just pull off his face like that, grab our little tool, it's creepy. My final thoughts: it's a pretty nice figure, and you should probably go and get it now if you like Cobra and you want to have his associates on your shelf. I think this would be a good time to do it. I've seen, although Cobra is sold out, I've seen a rerun pre-order going up for him. I'm not 100% convinced that Lady or Crystal Boy down the line is going to get reproduced, because I mean, especially Lady, on her own merits, she's not as striking as Cobra or his enemy. So better to be safe than sorry. If you care about this figure, just pick it up. It is pretty awesome. It is really nice, and it does look fantastic, and especially once you know who she is and watch the movie or the show. I haven't watched the show, I just watched the movie, I gotta confess, but just from the movie I really love it, and you know, happy to have it. I think the price was, I don't know, $55 or something, a bit high for what I like to spend on figures that aren't that big. I mean, how big is she? What's that? About 15 centimeters, 14 centimeters. But in the scheme of Japanese stuff, not that expensive. I mean, this guy over here, he is smaller and cost a lot more. This has been a video review for Max Factory's Figma number 183, Lady Armaroid from Space Pirate Cobra. I'm Odeean, and thanks for watching.